Hi everyone, it's Don. Well, a lot of news in Canada last week. We're talking a lot about mandatory vaccines now. Quebec has already said that they're going to come out with a mandatory vaccine, and how the federal government is saying the same thing. So first off, let me just say, I'm one of the people who have been vaccinated. I am not an anti-vaxxer. I am not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not any of that. I just want to get out of the pandemic. I want to go outside. I want to go into a movie theater without having to wear a mask. I want to travel. And I saw that the vaccine was the way to do that. So let's be clear. I'm not anti-vax. I'm just tired of lockdowns and things like that. But now Quebec has come out and said that they're going to mandate vaccines for things like going to a bar, going to a concert, travel. Perhaps crossing the border might be necessary. And we all said, well, okay, who else is going to, well, now we have Nova Scotia looking at doing the same thing. We have British Columbia looking at doing the same thing. And then Canada also announced that all federal government employees are also going to have to be vaccinated. And I think there's going to be some law challenges to this. Because I know it's very hard in the court system, say, to force somebody to have an operation. So say somebody is in the process of a crime and they shoot people and they get shot in the shoulder themselves. If they're brought to a hospital, they can say, no, I don't want you to take that bullet out. You can leave it right there. You cannot forcibly remove that bullet. Even though that bullet might be able to be linked to the gun that would link that person to the murder or the armed robbery, whatever the case may be. I know that there have been cases like that, and that they were said no. Some cases, yes, they were forced. In other cases, they were saying no. That's an intrusive operation on a suspect. You cannot force somebody to do something like that. Well, isn't this kind of the same thing now? We're forcing people to get vaccinated. Now, they say they're going to have some sort of workaround where, you know what, if you haven't been vaccinated, well, you're going to have to get tested a certain amount of times a month. You're going to have to wear a mask everywhere you go in the building. And basically, you're going to be identified now as a person who has not been vaccinated. You might as well just put on a big, flashing yellow sign on the person's head saying unvaccinated, unvaccinated, because you're going to be identifying them to every other person in the building. I don't know if that's the way we want to go, especially since, and I do believe that, people in the healthcare professions or people who are working with the elderly should be vaccinated. Try and keep everything, especially for our most vulnerable people, as safe as possible. But I don't know about mandating vaccines. I'm very much on the fence on this. It won't affect me. I've been vaccinated. I could care less, right? But here's the thing. We're already talking about possibly needing, because of the different variants that are coming out, right? They get stronger and stronger. The less people out there that are vaccinated, the more the virus has a chance to mutate. And the more the virus mutates, the stronger it can get, and the more it might become resistant to the vaccine. Look at the regular UK variant that came out. The vaccine stopped. If you were fully vaccinated, you hardly shed anything. You weren't spreading it hardly at all. However, with the new Delta variant, it's almost the same as far as shedding is. Now, you're still not going to get sick. You're still not going to end up in hospital if you've been fully vaccinated, nearly as much as somebody who's unvaccinated, but you can still shed and spread the disease as much. And now we're talking Lambda variant, and it gets stronger and stronger the less more people are vaccinated. So I can see the point of trying to get more people vaccinated, but I really am at a point where I'm going, I don't believe mandating people to forcibly take something into their body they don't want. And here's the thing. If the government mandates somebody, say one person, just one person in the entire country of Canada, they mandate that person, you need to get a vaccine to keep your job, to work where you go, to do anything in your province. That person takes the vaccine and something happens. They're one of those outliers. They're one of the 1 in 100 million people that something severe happens to during the vaccination. How much money can they possibly sue the government for? Everything? Because the government mandated something which is kind of against the Constitution of Canada. We already have freedom of rights and freedom of choice, and they are now saying, yeah, unless we say you don't. And if you've noticed, there's a lot of changing in the wording out there. It's no longer about your rights, your constitutional rights and everything now. Now they're talking your privilege. So, for instance, in Quebec now, if you want to go to a concert or a hockey game and you need to get vaccinated so you can have that privilege. It's a privilege to be able to go to a hockey game now. And you know what? I understand businesses want to ask for this to survive and to not be sued and to try and keep their customers and their staff as safe as possible. That I don't have a problem asking if you've been vaccinated. You haven't been vaccinated? Okay, you got to go into that room over there. Like separate people if you want to do things like that. Or in a movie theater, this showing is for people who have not been vaccinated. All the rest of the shows are for people that have been vaccinated. If you want to do things like that, I don't have a problem with businesses wanting to do things like that, but I have a problem with governments telling us that you have to do this or you're not allowed to do something. And it's such a strange thing because I am vaccinated. This does not affect me in the least. In the least. I can do anything. I would not lose my job. I can keep everything. Yet I don't want to see a government come out and start telling us that this is a privilege to do things. This is a privilege to have your job now. This is a privilege to take an air flight. I don't know. I really, really don't know. And I'm really now on the fence. I don't know where I'm going to stand. Because I can understand the business aspect, I can understand the health and safety aspect, and I can understand the constitutional aspect and the individual's right to choose. You have the right to choose, but you might have to pay the consequences. For instance, if you're going to go on a cruise ship and you're unvaccinated, okay, well, you have to wear a mask indoors. You're only going to be allowed to go to certain events, and maybe this dining room will be only for you. But at least you can do it, right? You can still have that choice. Right now, they're talking in Canada that you will not even have that choice. You must be vaccinated to get on a cruise, to take an air flight. Maybe even you must be vaccinated to go from province to province, to take a train, to keep your job. And that's where I think they have gone too far. I really personally do. Because guess what? There's lots of jobs people can do, even in the medical industry, that, you know, if you haven't been vaccinated, okay, you just can't deal with the public. You have to work in some other area. There's lots of things like that that can be done. So I don't know how this is going to go, but I do know one thing for sure. Somebody, somewhere, is going to challenge this in court. And that should be an interesting fight.